And we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. How are y'all doing this morning?
It's
Conversations. You notice I'll be like coffee and conversations. How are you guys doing this morning? Welcome. Child, we got a hot topic this morning. I gotta get a sip of this coffee. Make sure y'all get y'all coffee, y'all tea, y'all latte, hot beverage of choice this morning. So we could have this conversation that we thought about this morning.
Just now.
So, Precious is coming. She's getting together.
Get my little robe on. It was cold this morning, so I got a little jacket underneath my robe.
You know what? It was cold. It is cold. It is.
Oh, and I got the little army look on. Enlisted in God's army this morning, y'all.
Excuse me, honey.
Ooh, let me get this a little bit closer to us. Good morning to you. The birds are chirping. Let me stop.
Where we get the ooh?
That's what they do.
Okay.
And you know what? When Diamond was just in town this weekend, when I was in the room and I just started singing the first, I didn't have to explain nothing to him because, like I said,
the video?
Well, no, it was like what's the word? No, not even like a meme, but you know when they say is a
trending sound.
Trending. Thank you. I couldn't find the word trending.
Yeah.
It was trending at the time.
Okay.
And because it was trending at the time,
I knew what you was talking
that
about.
was their generation. Remember, I keep up with what's trending only because I have all these kids. I wasn't trending when it was my age time to be trending. I wasn't even trending when it was my time. So this is not natural for me to trend. No, honey. I am frugal my whole life. So what's trending? Good morning, Miss Toya. She told me I need to get my second cup. That part.
Girl, this should be my second cup. I was up since this morning, since 6 something. So I am really tired, though. I'm gonna sleep under the dryer. I got a hair appointment at 11. That'd be my relaxed time.
Listen, that's one of the things that I did not do.
What?
Ever sit under a dryer.
Oh.
I have never, you know the game, I have never had
Have
to
you
sit.
Have you ever? No, I have not.
I had to sitting up in the bed right before my wedding. I did my hair the night before in them curlers.
Ooh.
Start put these dumb pink curlers all in my hair, not the cushion ones, the ones that were hard plastic. And I probably should have sat under the dryer with all the hair that I had.
Yeah.
Because I was used
let
to
it air dry.
Yeah, so I was sitting up in the bed like this the night before the wedding. And honey, when I took them curlers out, I looked like the Lion King.
Okay.
It was not the look I was going for.
It was not what you was
It was not the look I was going for. I was like, I could have just as well gave myself just had the box braids and took them out and they would have been super curly.
Oh, yeah.
But I was trying to do the spiral curls because they always came out so cute on star hair. Yes. But it was before they had all these new age rods. We talking about 18 years ago, 19 years ago, because we're 21 years married. That is crazy. We're 21 years married, but we got married in the living room. So a year and a half later, 2 years later, Essence was like 6 months when we got married, and then 2 years old when we had the wedding. So like I said, many people will call and be like, happy anniversary in July. And I'll be like, happy anniversary.
You're all confused.
Right? I be so confused because
we be confused.
Paperwork wise, March 3rd is our anniversary, but ceremonial wise, it was July 26th. So it was literally a month shy. I mean, right, a month after, a month after Essence second birthday, the wedding was. Because her birthday is 26. So yeah, she was definitely right after.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of people do stuff like
Listen,
that too.
I know.
This creamer, I know. And it seems like it ain't going.
One of our first endorsements gonna be International Delight, okay?
Because we
be popping it.
And it seems
that's
like
the only brand I like. I like it. Right? It's not.
It seems like it. Because Byron was like, "Oh, you want me to put that on the list for the
grocery
list?"
No, we're doing just fine.
Right, we had that for a minute.
Yes, we've been drinking that for a minute. What happened to the other one? I thought I left the cold one here.
128 servings. You know what? I even been bringing that out the refrigerator.
We do have that, no? It's I don't know.
Girl, we ain't been eating our tamarind. Saquon came and ate a tamarind.
Oh my God.
Like, I said, girl, we got some. I went in the refrigerator. She said, shut up, you got some. I said, girl, yeah. Precious brownies. She said the original ones got the lining on the seed. She said those don't have the lining on the seed. Remember we used to take the lining off around the seed and chew it in our mouth? Yeah. So, yes. Yeah, girl.
I got those out of Compare Food.
Girl.
So, you get fine international food up in there. And then the tangy and the tartness. But yes, how are you guys doing today? How has your Tuesday been so far?
Yes,
Tuesday already.
Yes, Tuesday.
Nah, not Tuesday already. Like it's
already.
Like it's fall.
Tuesday already. Wednesday yet.
Tuesday already. But I mean, I don't know about y'all, but this time has been flying ever since the pandemic. I think that was some fairy dust, or maybe is that. Just think about it. Pandemic incited fear. We made you be more conscious of your life, right? So it's like thinking if somebody be like, okay, most people, when they find out that they got little time to live, they actually start to live. Many people don't live because they think they have forever, right? Just think about it. I am a procrastinator. So most of the time when I have stuff to do, it's like I'm losing my cool because I was moving before the time as if I had endless amount of time, even though I had a deadline. And right before the deadline, I'm in action because I know that I can't go past this moment. Right? And so
the fire up under your butt.
And so I feel like time is going so fast because it's almost like we appreciate it more. And they said time no. What they said, time moves fast when you're having fun. Is that the phrase?
Time flies.
Time flies. That's the word. Time flies when you're having fun. And so maybe we are actually now appreciating more, living more, dreaming more, reflecting more. Because right now it's like we were in the face of death, some may say. Everybody it's like everybody got that letter or that call and you didn't know.
It's like a great cloud.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it made you move different. It made you flow different. It made you like have a sense of urgency to some extent, right? Even how you looked at life, even what you did, right? And so it just makes it feel like time is moving so fast. Hebrews, let me look that up.
What he said?
Hebrews 13:8. We don't just know scriptures like that.
Come on, Pastor. What was he, the deacon?
Deacon.
When y'all got married.
Deacon Paulin. Come
on, Deacon Paulin. Hebrews 13:8. What is that?
No, let me tell y'all, he was so serious because when he do something, he doing it all the way.
Honey.
He would go to the club with a Bible key. Oh my God, he would take the Bible to the club and be talking to people with the Bible. Like if you get
what happened?
Jason and them to start telling. Well, then he started to dig deeper.
Dig a little deeper. It was like
and found out that a lot of stuff that was taught. Was taught in a way to incite, I would say once again, fear, right? So to become dependent and you don't even understand the power of the words, or, he found out that Jesus really name is Yeshua. Like, just certain things. There was no J in the research. Right. Because God says to study to show thine own self approved, right? You can't go on somebody else. You can't go up there and be like, but they taught me that. And he's like, okay, but what did you go to seek? He says, seek and ye shall find. So somebody else's, what they told you will never be your excuse. You know why?
Columbus discovered America.
Right. So we grew up all those years. They were teaching us, ingraining it in us. But the real history of slavery, they're trying to take out of the school system and learn it. And we only got a page. So it's so amazing that the stuff that wasn't true. So that's how you know you're being put under indoctrinations, which are making you see and think a certain type of way, because they had us thinking that Christopher Columbus discovered America. We found out that our ancestors built the land that they call the free, in which we have no real access to, right? And now we're going into the next level of this new age. Hold on, let me find that Hebrews so I can not go too far from
because y'all already know we about to be laughing and crying
man.
In a minute on this hot topic.
But you know they said Hebrews. What the Hebrews? That means something brewing. He making something.
13 and 8, honey. 13 and 8.
He is making something if he brews. Okay. It says 13 and 8 is Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. But Jesus doesn't change yesterday, today, tomorrow. He's always totally himself. What is the object of that lesson? Hebrews. Totally he is consistent. You. He is consistent.
You gotta be you. He done changed up on it. No, I ain't. I'm still the same person. You know what you gonna get if you ask me. You don't know what's gonna come out.
And that's so important that is Hebrews, right? Because he, as they say, to brew is to get his to brew something is to pull the essence and simmer and the flavor out. When it's brewing, it's kind of like becoming a stronger part of itself. So if Hebrews 13, and 8 is Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's just saying that the core of you is always your soul print, right? That's why I say that God piece. That will never change. But the brewing is to extract that part, that piece that came to be the difference, right? So we were going to go through imperfect places to kind of give that perfect stuff. And it's like God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So you got to be intentional about what is to come out of you, because this is the process into the promise. But yeah, it's definitely realizing that time is moving. Time is moving and we feel it. We feel it. And that makes us think about how fast time is moving as us being adults and what today's topic is. We normally wait till we get to 15 minutes in. Oh, let's see what he says.
You have to talk to your children. My daughter thought she wasn't doing enough to make me proud. But after a conversation, our whole relationship changed. I was thinking one thing, she felt another. So just talk to your children. That was part of my coaching tools Apostle Precious equipped me with. Wow. Yeah.
Thank you, boo.
Communication and conversation with your kids to really understand how are they feeling and what are they thinking that is,
because from his perspective, he couldn't imagine how she wouldn't know how proud he was, right? He couldn't imagine how she didn't get that he saw her as the greatest, but still she was so busy trying to
say she wasn't doing enough.
She was feeling like, I gotta have all A's, I have to have this, to the point where we had to start calming her down to be like, girl, life is about going. It don't have to be perfect. You gotta feel perfect about who you are. That's it. Feel confident, whatever. But like he was saying, it was about having those changing your relationship, going from really I'm guiding you every step of the way to now you're coming back to ask for my guidance, right? And so it's like have real conversations with your kids, because at the end of the day, they were you were them, right? And so transparent means that God needed you. He could have sent them through anybody. So it wasn't that you were who you were just alone and that you being just a man or being a woman. It was he knew your story. He knew who they were, but who they were intended to be. So he knows that you have what they need so that they can have the cheat sheet. And so that's the one thing I loved about Chef Ron is his authenticity with them. Even if it exposes the man he used to be. Yeah. Right? Before he met me. But see, most parents don't expose who they used to be before they became who they are, what they used to do. So kids go and
it's perfect, and it's like you trying to model the perfect, and it was nowhere near that. I'm still processing, like becoming.
And outside of perfect, you go from a judgmental parenting standpoint, like our parents did. So you operate out of fear. Fear of what you don't want to happen. So you're overly aggressive because you're trying to block that from happening without even speaking to them what you're doing. So it just seems overbearing because they don't understand you're operating out of fear. They think my parents is faithful. They make everything happen. It looks like magic around them. But when you speak to them, it is embodied in fear. So they see the magic, but they feel the fear.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you hold them back from their greatness while you're still showing them that anything's possible. And so it becomes confusing because you didn't explain the process into possibility.
Yeah, you're just saying what you're saying, but you're not fully explaining.
Like, listen, I used to do this, and this was the effects of me doing that, and this is why I'm totally extra. Be transparent. See, I said the word transparent have parent in it, and transparent means to be crystal clear, right? Yep. You got to remove the shame and get in your lane. Yep. And so that clarity gives them
clarity, communication.
Oh my God.
Clear communication.
Good morning, Queen Beverly.
So you kind of answer questions while you're explaining something because you saying something and explaining something should answer questions that they gonna ask afterwards. So you know how it's like, but she just answered that. That's why, and this is why. You know what I mean? So it's like, what else do you need to understand or know? It's like, oh no, you pretty much summed it all up.
And
like,
I understand.
I
understand.
Yeah,
it's about exposing yourself in order for them to feel comfortable exposing themselves, right?
Yeah.
If you asking me everything about me and you're not telling me nothing about you, I'm gonna feel guarded. But if you go to give. Man, when I was just thinking about life and, I had this point in my life, because if you feeling a need to speak to them about something, then something triggered in you that made you want to be like, listen, I had this issue when I was your age and and it took me this long. Like, I know you see me strong, but, I was scared or I was, so even me having been molested as a child, it took some time when they got a little older and I would explain it to them. I just didn't want them to feel so bad because they just be like, it's such a distrauhtful story when you tell it.
Putting that on
and
age,
so
like,
when they became older, now,
feel the pain of all that because they don't need all that.
Because even when I expose it to adults, they would cry. So I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah, so
I just be like, that's no need. You know what I mean? So it seemed every time I told the story of what my past was, what the weeping, and it just made me be like, what should I have been crying? I'm so glad I didn't know I should have felt. And I know it is like, I feel so bad for like that fear. And I'm just so glad that God protected me from a certain sense of it. Insanity. Because when I look and people are so, oh man, like even Chef Ron, like I write in the book, what the F is your mustard seed, hit that link up there, make sure you get you one. E-book, color book, black and white, whatever type. But whatever type, black or white, whatever type, just go ahead and hit that link, the LinkedIn, the healing link, and get yourself a book. But I even speak about, the first day I finally was able to say the who to, my husband. And it was like, it was so emotional to him. And one of the other people I remember telling was even Ebonice. We were sitting around talking. I was like, and because at this point, it's like, I spoke about it, but we were just in the room because every situation is not for the bell horn, but when the moment is to be seized, you seize the moment. That's why God said, I put you in the room. Nobody told you had to say it to everybody, but when I put you in a room, I need you to say it to somebody, right? But then when I was telling the story, she started, and I'm like, what? She's like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, I didn't know it'll make you want to cry. You know what I mean?
I mean, did she have a similar situation?
No. Okay. She had an amazing relationship with her parent, but it's just like that. If somebody had a very amazing relationship with their father, so it'll make you want to weep. if somebody didn't have an amazing relationship, it makes them feel like they're not alone.
Yeah,
right? So either way, it's going to make people feel gratitude for where they came from, or they will feel like I'm not in a valley by myself. And then you get to be the example. So if I could just say, yeah, I experienced that, but I'm an author of 6 books, and I have 5 amazing kids, and I've been married 21 years, and, and I didn't let it get me down, and I have good you see what I'm saying? Then it changes. Then you don't feel like, oh, God was picking on me. You realize He was picking you up. So it's like amazing, just seizing the moment
out of valley moments in your life. So it doesn't keep you bound and stuck in
if you don't let it. If you don't let it, you can't let it.
So
it can.
Stories help the people, understand that they can make it out the valley, and they will. It's up to them to come out of it.
That part.
Good morning, Dr. Beverly.
So today's topic is. You have yours up? Hit that thing and read it.
Today's
I'm
topic
gonna start sharing
is,
now. I'll be talking for what's name before I even share it, but I'm gonna share some.
What is your adult child perspective to growing up with addictive parents? Let's think about it, y'all. If you grew up in a household that had some type of parent that had some sort of addiction, any addiction that there was, right? We talking about drug addiction, alcohol addiction, sexual addiction. I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because we was definitely thinking, what could we talk about? And we was having a whole conversation. We have our whole conversation before things. So we let's really talk about that. Because we was in here dying laughing. Sometimes you'll laugh, sometimes you'll cry. When you think back on you being that child back then, and now we're grown adults now in our 40s, me and Precious is in our 40s, we are in here laughing, like when she said smoking on it. What you say?
Smoking the antenna.
Smoking the antenna. I'm like, oh my God. You just think of the drug days, right?
Many of us,
honey,
in the city, many of us experienced the drug pandemic as we are the adults. So that's why I say an adult child, right? Because it's adults remembering the childhood, right? Because it is no comparison being in the moment opposed to seeing hindsight the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to be more, because you live long enough to understand that everybody copes differently and everybody, takes on different things or whatever. But as an adult thinking about the child that was growing up, it's like, that was a weird time for us. And a lot of people don't speak on
they don't.
The experience of and that's why mental health is so serious, right? Because we play so many things in our head before therapy was even accessed, right? It's bad enough you trying to get to the doctor with them co-pays, much less a therapist.
Find somebody to just confide in, to let know what's going on, or to have an outlet to be able to speak to somebody about what you're seeing and what you're going through during that time, right? So, I mean, not that we had therapists, like we wasn't going to the therapist, but you would try to find somebody that you confided in.
Yes, that's a good one.
A friend, an adult, somebody, your friend's parent, one of your friend's parent that, took you under their wing as a child, like, something like that. So, that was real big back then.
And I love that you said that, because that is when community stepped up, right?
That part.
Village stepped up, right?
Really village.
It was really village, because you understood and you understood the responsibility. But it's like, man, when I even think back to the visions, like what you got to see, we talk about kids getting exposed to pornography and all this other stuff, but imagine a kid off the side watching somebody smoke out of a pipe, and you had no more than 10 years old. When I think about my kids, and I'm like, imagine. I remember at some points being a lookout, right? With my dad is like, look out, we had this bay window, and it's like,
oh my God,
tell me if you see, your mom. And I'm like, yo, when you think about,
and you just did what they said to do. You a child, and you know.
Yeah. So when I think about stuff like that, I'm like, wow. And sometimes I have to sit and think, because you realize how much you bury, that you try to forget, and you like that part. But remembering it makes you feel proud of yourself, and remembering it gives you grace for the space that you're in. Remembering it makes you a member of that kingdom, right? Of redo, right? Of renewal, right? Because to remember, then I'm a member of renewal. Because every time I go back, and because I'm actually here in the flesh, it's just my mind going back. And that's why I think God says to renew your mind daily, because your body will be in active form just as sure as my name is precious. But your mind can be on a delay. Right. And so our thoughts are delayed. Our feelings are delayed. So we have some adult children that live in a delayed life of a childhood. Right. Because then those things start to resurface. Right. And then you start to think about the stuff that you endured, and you're like, wow, that's why I was so tough here. Because when you really give yourself grace for the space, you can really heal through those moments. So then I can start being accountable when I was dealing with certain things, because it was like, oh, that's where that came from. Oh, that's what happened. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning.
Ladies. Good morning.
Oh,
Dr.
see, this is what you was talking
says,
about.
Wow, my father was addicted to other women. I have 19 sisters and brothers.
Oh,
and
God.
Needless to say, he also had an addiction to beating women. Girl, see what I'm saying? Yeah. I hope now that he has peace with his demons. However, suffering as a child, being fatherless, I also reflect and suffer as an adult with unanswered questions and trust. So I compensate by working on me. Come on, Dr. Beverly.
No, but that's so powerful. And you know why it's so powerful? Because just listen to all of that, right? These are the things when kids were to be seen and not heard, right? And then you come up with emotional developmental issues, right? Because many people don't speak about the emotional development problems that we have due to the things that happen to us, and we don't get the right to mentally actually unpack that, right? We unpack what people see, but nobody wants to unpack the things, their secrets, right? Nobody wants to unpack the secret life, those secret scars, that secret pain, those secret thoughts. And so when you think about it, it's like, how do you feel, right? Dr. Beverly, I like to ask, were you ever in an abusive relationship, right? Because sometimes we can find ourselves accepting things that we've seen only because the love was attached, right? And when love gets attached, it confuses everything. It makes you want to work through, right? Because I always say the reason why people are able to heal and their family teaches them about themselves most of all is because it's the only place where forgiveness reigns supreme. When we just have strangers, there's no forgiving them. Strangers, you just move on. I don't care if I don't move food, y'all food. I'm not forced to stretch. I'm not forced to be different. I'm not forced to love you beyond your afflictions, right? Because your addictions make your afflictions, right? And God said that we all are afflicted. It's just in different areas, right? My husband would say I'm afflicted in my mouth, and me not being able to stop and control and always got to say something right. Like that's my affliction. My affliction is you just got to say it if you think it, and you got to learn to control that affliction, right? So we are all afflicted in ways that may seem fine for us, but can be harmful to somebody else, right? Because it's just like awakening to the infection that's in us. And so when we think about it, we become or we accept that which we dwelled in and grew up in and was a part of way easier because it's called acceptance. Love is acceptance, right? To some extent.
Right.
I accept that I love you, and so I'll fight with you, for you, sometimes more than you, right? I'm fighting far when you've been left the race, right? That's how much love can blind you, and love can grow you, because even in the lessons is growing you, whether you get it or not, is whatever you need to know. And so I think that was such a powerful testimony, Dr. Beverly, because
thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much for sharing, because
thanks for sharing.
That's
brave. That takes bravery as well, to release it, right, and let other people know as well. So thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. And the unanswered questions, Lord have mercy. Let me tell you something. I remember 2 months before my father passed away, I said to myself, I'm going to call him. I'm going to have a conversation and maybe find out more about what he went through as a child, because I was doing the 21 days of releasing and reflecting Deepak Chopra thing. And I think Aunt Karen invited me into it. And then, each day there was something that we had to release. I gotta find that book, because it was like in the pandemic, right before the pandemic hit, right? And so it was going into 2020. And one of the activities was releasing. And so, I've said before that I was molested by my dad. And so one of the activities, you had to, forgive people and stuff. And so one day I was just thinking I should call and just have a conversation, because I always wanted to speak from the person who violated a kid. Like what were your roots that were connected to the tree? And I think, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make that call. But that was like, I had to get myself up.
Bravery, yeah.
Even though when you think about it, it's like you deserve the conversation, but it's such a scary and an uncomfortable conversation. And I think that maybe the pandemic hit, and it might have been, I called him. But when I called him, it was like maybe 3 weeks or something before he had passed. Because, of course, he wasn't sick. I mean, he was the same. I say he was like a cat. He had 9 lives. I mean, I'm serious. Like, it would be like he had a seizure crossing the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, and they got him. Like, he had a seizure in the middle of the Grand Concourse, and everybody knows that's like 8 lanes of traffic going back and forth, and it's hardly ever empty. But you know what I mean? It was like, he just was suffering like through life. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a feeling of thing. And so when I did call, it was just like, oh, just checking up on you. Just wanted to, I love you. So I didn't even have the conversation. And then maybe a month later, and right in the middle of the pandemic, my aunt calls and was like, your dad passed or whatever. And I'm like, and I was so numb to it. And I was writing a book, and it's called From Hero to Villain to Hero Again, right? Because it is the scars, right? Is the pain, right, behind the gain. It's so much things that you just can't name, but it's really realizing that we take on the scars of undeveloped parents, right?
Absolutely.
And when you don't develop throughout your pain, the kids end up scarred because of emotional undevelopment. So many adults are grown, but emotionally we are undeveloped. We lack we never freed these memories. You know what I mean? We never got closure to it. That's why I had to learn to give it to God, right? I said it was so lack of closure that it took me 3 days before I cried.
To unrelease.
To let it go, to not feel guilty for crying for him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's so much.
It was a lot.
The guilt. That's what I call it. That was the name of the book that I wrote, because I was writing a story, and it was called "The Guilt in My Tears." The guilt in my tears, because
what did you feel guilty
for crying?
Mm.
Like I was betraying myself to cry.
For somebody that
hurt me. Guilt in my tears.
Got you.
But that's still your daddy.
See, that's why you have so many emotions going on that it's your dad, so
Oh,
you
my
want to cry,
goodness.
but the shit that happened, it's like you battle yourself.
So
you know
what I mean? And so we could talk about the addictions, we could talk about the afflictions,
that part.
but at the end of the day, it's like, so you have that part, so you have to deal with that part, and then you have to deal with a drug habit too, right? And then you had an alcohol habit. And so as an adult, with all of those different afflictions, it makes me wonder, what was the little boy inside? Where did he come from?
What was the issues that you had, or what did you see growing up
that would be who you became?
That part.
So it's so much bigger than my feelings. Right? I got to get out of my feelings and into the healing, because we are all like, we come through our parents. We don't belong to our parents. So it was like at some point, somebody who was emotionally unstable destroyed, and you either rise mentally or you sink mentally, and so you cope with different things, right? And so you just got to have grace. I know it's because I definitely knew who God was, and definitely had him in my life, and definitely believed him. Whether I was in church, I could feel him in my being, right? That's a part of my gift. I was writing poetry that was spiritual from the minute I wrote a poem. You know what I mean? So it's like, I understand that there was an inside thing that I always believed in more. So I didn't let I always say the who may kill you, but the what will heal you, because the what is your wisdom at. So it's like, when you think about the addiction and afflictions that our parents had, my God, we could have been hurt. We could have been stuck. We could have been so many things, but it was like, what does an adult child say? Like, are you proud of? I always got to say, I'm so proud. The big Precious is, the little Precious is so proud of the big Precious, because her pain was not in vain. Many times we go through stuff and we don't choose to be the difference. We don't choose to be the answer, which is the only reason why we came, to solve a problem. So how can you become the answer if you're not willing to go through the problem? Don't take it personal, take it process. And when I began to take life process and not personal, it still stings, because I'm wrapped in the flesh, but the soul of me heals a whole lot faster than it used to, because I understand the process, if that makes sense. So you don't have a lot of woe is me in your life. You don't have a lot of woe is me, like, why me, Lord? You just know it's process. You're going through process. Like, you know. You want to read that?
Dr. Beverly says, yes, I was kidnapped at 15. No need to explain the different types of abuse as to what happened during that 2 years. Then the bishop ex-husband was very abusive verbally with the word of God, and then physically. Stopping the madness of being in the hands of oppressors. Your issues are not mine, and I deserve the better part of the best. Now, my no doesn't need to be defined, and my exit doesn't need an explanation.
I choose
me. Honey.
Man.
Definitely.
So powerful. And you know what the most powerful part of it all, Dr. Beverly, is who you are today.
Come on now.
And how you get to stand up in your story, right? Because that is the point. The point is to not have what you've been through and not be the evidence, right? Because those were the dark moments. And as we speak of 1,000,001 times, that's when the picture gets to develop, right? Because there were so many different things that you've been through that people will focus on at different times, depending on what's developing in your life. But the best part is that you went through the dark room and then came out and exposed yourself, right? And because we can see the picture, but when you were developing a dark room, i.e. the valley, right? Nobody talks about the valley, and you shouldn't in the moment. But when you got out of the moment, when you tell these stories, people now get to see the picture and understand the valley. So now they understand that they too can develop into something beautiful. Because everybody wants the finished product, but nobody wants the grind. Nobody wants the midnight hours. But nobody wants the darkness. Nobody wants that part to get to the beautiful butterfly that you have become. Right. And so we celebrate the development. Oh my God. We celebrate the triumph and what it takes to not be the story, but tell the story. because the telling the story was the evidence. The reason why Jesus got so much done was because people told the story, right? It was no paparazzi. It wasn't the internet. How was he spreading so fast in a time when we didn't have the access that we had? Why? Because the evidence, and not enough people go back and be the evidence of the story, the evidence of God's glory, right? Because like we said, we let go, love every trial, because we get grace expects testimonies. You get to be here. Somebody didn't make it. And so the grace is in your testimony. So when you tell it like that, you give so much more people power to then stand up in their story and say, listen, my no means no.
Period.
Right? That means you're not getting over on me. No. This is how I feel. I trust myself. And when we begin to, as Chef Ron said, I'd rather you be mad at me than me be mad at you. It allows you to take care of self, because if everybody took care of themselves, there'd be nothing left to do. So self-care was the rule that God gave us, right? He said, love your neighbor as you first love yourself. So to love them more than you would be not following God's commandment, because it wouldn't even be in you to love them to that level. You can only give what you already have. And so being able to love yourself through the afflictions and the pains and the things that happen to you so God could get something else through you. Come on now. He allowed you to develop into what you're developing, because he didn't leave you, but he was processing you because you were strong enough to help somebody else. You are the leader to somebody. It is a relay race. Somebody is relying on you. That means you got to meet them at your point. So when we have these moments, right now, I know, Dr. Beverly, you just healed somebody who's going to want to listen to a replay, who's going to come on the show and watch, who is listening right now, who didn't have the courage to say, me too, right? Because that's what it's all about. The movement, Me Too, became that because people got the courage to rise above their fear and have a hard conversation because it was necessary.
To speak up.
That part.
That part.
Good morning, Kat. Dr. Beverly, no, your no is a complete sentence, period. That part.
No.
That part.
That part. Ron is clapping his hands saying, yes, girl, yes. You explained that thoroughly, Apostle Precious Paul. Yes.
Shout out to the healer power.
Come on now.
It's all in our words. We are all healers. I mean, every last one of them are healers, because we have all have healed through something, right? Now, I'm a doctor because I operate on your mindset, because that's what it's all about. The only that was to renew your mind daily. So if we don't operate on the way we think about ourselves, then we are feeling ourselves. So what you say to yourself after you fall, right? Yeah. After the situation is way more important than what you said to yourself before. It is the after, because the after is what gets you to rise. The after is the resurrection, right? Because after they betrayed me, what did I do? After they lied on me, what did I do?
After you went through all this hell,
what did I do?
What came out of it?
After they hurt you.
Went through all this hell, what is going to be the ending story? What's going to be the result of you going through all this hell? Are we going to stay in the valley, or are we going to get up with all power in his hand? Right? I mean, what we doing with all that mess that you done went through, hell and high water?
My God.
So that right there is in itself is like, come on now. I'm telling you, because I mean, my life wasn't no crystal stair either. My mom she was on drugs. She was on alcohol. She was alcoholic. I mean, I went through both spectrums too. And I tell you, I can remember I was just telling Precious, I was like, the first time she went into a actual program was because my brother, she like smoked his whole stash, okay? His whole stash. And he was crying because, of course, he in trouble now. Like, what is he going to do to get this money? Now he in jeopardy.
And then we want to stop before she go any further. The fact that he was worried about money to supply and help in a household, because we got to remember, when our parents got on drugs, you stole their income. You stole an income, because not only was they not working, or if they was working back then where you was talking about crack, they was smoking the antenna. That means Christmas was on the 25th, and by the 27th, everything was sold. Come on now. So the joy was right. There was the Grinch after Christmas, but go ahead, carry on.
Honey, I mean,
y'all know our story.
Like,
baby, I brought butter. I brought butter last night. There's some butter in there.
I mean, come on.
But
and,
go ahead.
And it's like, you know what? You crying. I'm doing the most. So she's like, I'm doing the most. I got to look myself in the mirror, and I'm getting into a program because, I'm at a point where this enough is enough. Like, yeah, you're lucky you still here, because that was a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm sure you probably divvied it out to your friends or whatever, but I'm just saying. It's like, the stuff you go through, like I can remember my mom sweeping all the time. Now, if y'all ever had parents that was on crack, okay, they swept the floor all the time.
I thought my dad was a neat freak for something else.
That broom had whiskers. You know that broom's supposed to be straight. That broom had a little curve to it because they swept that broom in that one motion on that one angle. Child, it's like they always could spot something on the floor. I mean, just the memories you think about, like,
and you know what is another memory we don't speak about is the person that loved the unlovable at the time, because that also taught you to some people to deal with the unbearable. To lose it all for the sake of somebody else, right? Because even when we thought about, even if we go for even our experience, right? Because my mom was committed to the marriage, right? So we lost everything due to my daddy's addiction to the drugs, which made us homeless. She went from 2 houses to homelessness with 7 kids, 2 houses. Because, I mean, it got so bad where he was selling the sheetrock out of the house that was being put together.
Mommy ain't really.
Right, that's what I said. It wasn't to that extent because there's so many layers. Because now you understand the love.
Stuff to get
right. And so you either going to react to that and be like, oh, my God, now I'm learning to love somebody who doesn't deserve me to bear it all for them, right? Because I have to love you because of your responsibility too. Yeah. I'm in love with who you were, and that's another issue people have, where they stuck on who they used to be, that you disregard all your current circumstances and situations for the love of God. And sometimes, like I was listening, it's like, well, God put us together, but who said that? Just because you chose to get married and do all that doesn't mean that God put you together, but you're going to hold on to him with that power or her to that power and say, well, God, but was it God or was it you? So you're staying and feel like I owe it to God, but do you owe it to God, or does God expect you to take care of you so that you can be who he called you to be, because he won't put more on you than you can bear? That means you have to rise to the occasion. I'm not giving you nothing. You have to prove to me that you are ready for your next something. And sometimes we misinterpret what God is telling us to do for his children. God can do that. Yeah. You can't save nobody. You can save yourself, right? And so you look at the dysfunction and even our relationships with God, when we think that God would want us to be hurt and hindered to that level for our own gratification. That's not God.
That is not of God.
You know what I mean? And so it's learning to be in relationship with him, to know that he won't put nothing on you. He didn't come to tear you up, but he came to tear you out. Because he said, I gave you the power to choose. And I love you so much that even when you choose without conferring with me first, I will see you through. You will not go without. Even if it feels like you don't have a roof, I'm going to cover you. I'm still going to be with you all the days of your life, but it is up to you to do the work. Faith is freedom after insight to higher self. He said, faith without works is dead. God is not going to come down and do nothing for you. That's why he wants you to get your mind right so you can get your spine right. Because once I get my spine, my soul's posture erect, then I no longer am afraid to say no, like Dr. Beverly said. The answer is no, and it's a complete sentence, like Cat Ivory say, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm in relationship with God. I know what he wants from me. I am responsible for me, and I will not let you tear me apart in the name of God, not on his word.
That's when you put God in it. That part there.
Because he loves me, and he's not going to let you take me through hell and back in his name. So that's a you thing. That ain't a God thing. You have a problem with letting go. So whether it's an addiction, whether it's affliction, God wants the best for you. Best for you. So much that he says all things will work out for your good. Even that bad decision, I'll turn that thing around. That's what he means. But the power to choose has always been yours. And so when we become accountable and get our accounts right with him, then we can be able to say no. Then we can be able to say, and then we can be okay because we know God is in relationship with me. And he wants me to take care of me in order to take care of you. And if I'm taking care of you before me, then I have nothing to give.
You have nothing to give.
Nothing to give.
You are fully depleted. You need to get in the plus. You need to get your balance in the positive. We got to come out that negative.
That part. And so I think that's one of the lessons that we don't talk about either when we see relationships in our community, that is like, what are y'all doing?
Two is better than one, not for depletion.
Not for depletion, right?
Acceleration.
Yes. Two is much better than one when the right two are together, though. Not
you
any
have to
two.
Recognize the right two. Now we understand.
That's why he said touch and agree, though.
Times, but you can't be there for long periods of time, and you got to assess the situation.
Yes. Yeah,
because people be God this and God is the wonderful God. He's a acceleration God. He is not. That's your decision.
Right.
Don't be putting God in that now.
Don't put God
to make it right for what you want it to be right for. Now that's when I hate when people do that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's just so easy to see it that way. Just because for me to take God, I would have to be accountable for my decisions, and we have a hard time, me included. I'm not just talking at y'all. We as a human being have a hard time accepting that we did it to ourselves. Nobody did it to you. When I do the refill station, one of the first things I like to tell all the women who are in the room is that today is where we stop blaming everybody else for what we allowed them to do to us. Now, the reason why we talk about the adult as a child, we had no choice. But as an adult, if you are still allowing the mindset of what you experienced to keep you hindered, now that's on you. When you got out, when God freed you up, when you got them papers at 18 to move on, he said that your mind has to go with your body. And in order to have the two touch and agree, for you to be so, it would be the flesh with the mind. And many of us are currently here, but the mindset is way back in the childhood that we suffered, way back in the experience that got boggled down, way back in the parents that we thought we should have had, right? Because everybody wants more or think we need more, but God knows best. I gave you what I gave you because it was all about your who. What heaven ordered. That is it. And what you making it personal. But you came here on assignment. In order for you to get alignment, these are the ways you go. So people make choices. Oh my God. I gave everybody the power to choose. And some people chose light and some people chose darkness. Some people got up from that pain and turned it into power. And some people are still down to this very hour. The choice is ours. It is yours. And so I'm hoping that when we reflect on the afflictions and addictions that we had to endure as children, that we are making the little girl or boy in us proud today because we let it go. We let it go. We understand that it was them. It wasn't us. We understood that we too have our fictions, and our kids one day will talk about the things that they didn't like about us.
Currently. So we got to
do
the
to
work now.
The current world, right? Because right now there's a world of it looks like everybody's a millionaire, but only a very few people, a few percentage of that are really millionaires. But your kid is looking at that and they're going to be like, oh, we couldn't go here. We couldn't have this. They're always going to find something to compare life to because that's what they're seeing. The question is, how are you showing up so that you can actually be able to exonerate the part that they understand when it becomes an age, and that you can apologize for the things that need apologies, right? And so I think that being mindful of what we've experienced is why we are afflicted, and accepting those things as the adult, honoring the child, then we will be able to really grow to new heights and levels, even in our parenting, because we will come at it at a different angle, as Chef Ron so eloquently said in the very beginning, right? It's about changing the way it was done in order to enable a new way of livelihood, a new way of parenting, a new way of understanding, and being able to process that they don't understand, but they're going through everything you're going through. And just because you don't have the hard conversation doesn't mean that they're not feeling it, just as we did. And so that transparency helps them when they are in the state of misunderstanding, because we take all that misunderstanding into adulthood, as we all have done.
And stories now.
To this day.
Always.
Triggers to this day. I find myself yelling to this day because I'm so busy trying not. And I said sometimes I have to apologize even to Chef Ron and be like, you know what? Because now you can be the person that's so aggressive because you don't want to be that person, that you can have somebody so amazing and you just so hard because you either got soft or you got hard. It made me harder than it made me soft. Because, oh no, I'm going to control everything. That's just as bad as being a softie, right? It's about finding that balance. Life is about balancing the yin with the yang, right? Yeah. It's about balancing the pain with the power.
With the person you have, knowing the person you have, and it's like, adjustments.
It's acceptance. It's letting go. It's loving yourself through. It's healing. Until I get out of my feelings, I don't get into my healing. So when I'm feeling something, I know I got to check myself. If I feel that disease, whatever, I'm like, I'm talking to myself in my head because I can feel it. I don't know about y'all, but when that disease hit, you can feel it. You can understand why they say it's disease.
It's piping.
Because sometimes it may even make your stomach hurt. It may feel like you want to say you got a frog in your throat, right? So you got to pray for the crystal to allow your throat your chakra to work, right? Because you can feel it in your gut. So it's not something that you can't check, right? You can check your feelings and get into your healing because you can speak yourself through it when you are accountable. So when you feel that thing, instead of just responding, you start to say, ooh, what's that? Okay, that's where your closet time is. That's why for me, I'm like, you in your head.
Your body feels it.
People be talking to me.
Talking to you, honey.
People be talking to me and I'll be like, oh, did you excuse yourself? I'm talking to myself right now. They say it's crazy to talk to yourself. I say it's crazy not to talk to yourself, okay? Wait. They're like, what is you doing? You you can't hear me? No, I can't hear you. I was talking to me already. I was already talking to me. So yeah, it's really about woo-sighing and really letting that stuff go so that you can really grow. And then so like now in my 40s, I can really, life is better because I can feel it. Now, certain things trigger me. If it's a new conversation, I'm triggered because I'm telling you, I can't control myself talking to kids. Because that was a new trigger. And I'm like, boy, you sound crazy. So I still know I have so much more work to do. But as long as I'm working in section by section, I'm really proud of myself.
And I think it's good when you get it out sometimes at the moment because you sit and let it fester. Now, I'm not saying just go every time you need to say something because you might say it wrong. But I'm just saying when you let it sit and fester and stuff pile up and pile up and pile up, it becomes a blow up situation.
A blow up situation.
And that's what you really don't want.
You don't want to blow up.
And that's not good for your body either, mentally or physically. Because then you so bad you crying, and you put so much on your body. So it's like you gotta be authentic and be true to you. And when you need to say something, if somebody make you don't like what somebody says, or make you say what you feel like, oh no, I don't like how you said that. And you know what I'm saying? Because then you're gonna take it back and you're gonna be thinking about what the person said, you should have said it when they were still like now you all internally.
Listen, you ever have that? You know that happens to everybody.
Disrupted.
You know that happens to everybody. You be thinking about the best thing you could say. Oh my God, I should have said that. Oh, you want it, but you can't start the argument all over again just to get that last word.
Remember we was in the living room and you said, "Girl, that made me feel away." Oh, what I said? No, I need you to know. I want us to be reflecting back, and because I need you to know this made me feel away. I don't like how you said that.
That is hilarious. Okay, we are at our hour, so we are going to prayers and promises. We're gonna go through this book and we're gonna pull a card. But I just hope that anybody who is listening today, I pray that God gives us a good word or a message, because we all have been children before. And now many of us are parents and raising children, and we realize just how hard it was, and just how much grace we have to put on, the strength to push past those pains and keep it moving and not allow life to get the best of us, because in those circumstances and situations, that means life got the best of us, right? And so if we can just continue to strive to not allow where we are to dictate who we are, then we can continue to grow into who we was called to be, which is what? The answer. So the more the problems, the more the answers you have to give to the world. And so take it as God saying, you are so special that I'm going to give you a master's degree in so many different areas, because there is something about your get up ability that people need to see. And so you're like, God, why me all the time? And God is saying, why not you? Do you not think that you are equipped, that you are good enough, that you are great enough to tell them of how you got up, to tell them of what you got through, to tell them that if not them, then who, right? So it's like you are the example. And so being the example will require that you stand up in the problem. Come on now. I cannot be the example unless I can stand up in the problem, because the problem is how you worked it out, how you got to your conclusion, how you became the solution. And so being the solution is working out the problem. And we've been through so many issues and problems in life that it would be a shame for us to waste it on our feelings and not in our healing. So let's see what God will give us on this day.
Come on now. Let's see what He's going to.
And so he chose that purpose would be the phrase. Purpose is why you went through what you went through. Purpose is why you went through what you went through. Purpose, is why you went through what you went through. Purpose is your why. When heaven yelled. Why? When heaven yelled. I could just weep from that word. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. My child, pay attention to my words. Listen closely to what I say. Don't ever forget my words. Keep them always in mind. In mind. They didn't say in your mind, in mind, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Proverbs 4:20. It says, before I was even conceived, you thought of me. Lord of all creation, you spent time considering who I would be and what purpose I'd fulfill in your kingdom. I wonder how I can ever live up to the version of me you designed. I'm weak, flawed, so very human. But it doesn't depend on me, does it? My strength is from you. My gifts, talents, passions, and purpose are all from you. Today, I offer you my faith that if you willed it, I can fulfill it. Come on now. Now, wait, he said God's will be done. So he said, if you willed it, meaning if it came my way, if it had my name on it, right, then I can fulfill it. So there are no questions. If he willed it, if he didn't stop it, then he allowed it to come because he knows that if he willed it, you can fulfill it. It don't matter what you think. It's what he qualified you for. He ain't picking on you. He picking you up. So it says, how do you feel when you think about God having a special purpose for your life?
Come on, man.
It got to make you feel like I'm no longer complaining. It got to make you feel like, because like I said, if you're complaining, you ain't maintaining. You're doing one on the other. When you're complaining, that means you ain't maintaining. That means I don't believe I can follow through with what you're asking me to do. So I'm complaining that you even asked me to do it. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. Oh, I got to. He said complaining and maintaining are opposite things. If you're going to maintain the call on your life, you're going to keep on going. As long as I give you breath, you're going to get up. If you complaining, you're now making excuses. Why me? Why not? Why not you? What makes you so good that you can't go through what half the world has endured? What makes you so good that you shouldn't have to pay the price?
I called you to go through. You were meant to go through.
We hear greater works he would do, but we don't want to hear greater works he would do, because if works is about your faith, your freedom after insight to higher self, then how do you get to greater works? You increase your faith. Because all it takes is that tiny little seed. You see that little seed? That's all it takes. It takes that little seed right there. So life is about realizing that the seed is how you see it. Your seed of thought, whether it be negative or positive, it's going to grow. So you got to ask yourself.
What are you activating?
That's a good word. It's the purpose for me. Enlisted in God's army. It's a purpose for me, girl. Anyway, girl, he on fire for that tonight. And I think tonight. Today I'm used to being on that night high. He on fire tonight. He got the block on fire. He know how to live. Okay, so we're going to stop playing. God, please get us an I am that'll really release people from their childhood thoughts so that they can be adult manifestations of what it was you were supposed to go through in order to grow into who you were called to be. It was all a part of your life. It was all for purpose. No matter what, it was all for purpose. Eyes open. Okay.
Ready?
Set, go. Oh, I am the bridge.
Zestful.
And I am zestful. Yeah, that's zesty. You're not fully clean until you're fully clean. And you know what? You know what? Your zestfulness for life is what allows you to be the bridge. Because a zest is an excitement that you made it. And a lot of us are so hurt by what we went through that we forgot to have excitement that we made it. And so having a zest and a gratitude with a different attitude, right? Not blaming the how you got here, but inspired that it didn't break you, but that it made you into who you are today. Being willing to take the promises because of the process, right? And so to have a zestful way of thinking about what you've endured allows you to be equipped for where you are going. And so that is when the bridge becomes necessary, because we have all gone over troubled waters. We are all on different sides of the world and different sides of understanding, because we are made up of water, right? And water holds memory. And so being the bridge means that that memory that was inside that kept me dysfunctional, that kept me lacking and feeling unworthy, it was about me rising above those situations, right? Rising out of the water to then become a bridge. Because every time I share my story, I give God the glory, and I make a bridge from where you used to be to where you can go, right? And so nothing makes people believe like evidence. It wasn't that they said Jesus was a healer. It was that they spoke because they saw him heal. So it wasn't that you went through that hell. It was that you got up and spoke about what hell you went through and who you are today, because that is the glory in the story. That is the bridge that somebody needs. That is why we complete and we don't compete, because that L is for the love. And God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that we may have a bridge, so that we may not be suffering in silence, but we can understand that we have something to do. Because if we would do greater works, then we got to go through greater fields. We have to have greater understanding. We have to have better renewal. And so having a zest in spite of, because you know it's because of what you went through. So you don't have to take the pain, because that's already been given to you. Why not now pick up the power? Why not now pick up the power?
Pick it up.
Pick it up. Be the bridge you were called to be. No longer blame your parents for what you've been through. What are you going to do to be the bridge now, so that somebody else don't go through what you've been through? That's what makes you the answer. When you eradicate the dysfunction in our mindsets in order to be the bridge of zestful living. Come on now. This was a good one.
That was good.
I hope we touched you. The word was purpose. God has been touching all over this, because I know how hard it is for us to heal when we don't understand the why. And all I have to say, your why is when heaven yelled. When heaven yelled is your why. And you get to live in serendipity when you decide to surrender the pity. Do not pity yourself. Do not pity yourself. You take away from the power in your experience. God said, I did not give it to you for you to use it as a badge of pain. I gave it for you to resurrect and use it as a badge of honor. I chose you to be a warrior, right? Because now means no other warrior. Now is your turn to turn your pain into power, because if not you, then who? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? You are your own current events, right? Who, what, when, where, and why. You're the current events that God is talking about right now. You are a current. You are 70% of water. Your currency is in what is dwelling in your being. So make sure you get a zestful being, so that your currency can be a flow that grows people into God's understanding. You are the evidence. So come on now.
Dr. Beverly says, I am the bridge that brings my sisters and brothers together, no matter who our parents are or were. We have a zestful need to know and band with each other.
There you go. Let me tell you something. This has been a word. I hope that our testimonies have been of assistance to your journey. I hope that you leave this place not blaming your parents, but giving them grace for their space, because I have been hurt. God knows I have, but I have a very beautiful life because I didn't dwell in the pain. I gave grace for the space. Even though I couldn't have the hard conversation with my dad, I still loved him because he gave me life, and I can separate his afflictions and addictions from his being, right? And so we are all wounded healers. Come on now. Learn that at my ministry. We are all wounded healers, but some of us are hurting instead of healing because we haven't actually gotten past the pain of what we endured, because now we are victimizing ourselves. But God said, I didn't make you a victim. I made you victorious.
I didn't put you through to be a victim. Don't stay as the victim.
Don't
take that power and put it in your hands and rise up. Get up out that pitiful stage because I made you to go through that. You was chosen to go through that. Like, come on now. And it's not for you to stay there. So get up.
He got up. And
that
this
part
has been an amazing Tuesday. Testimony Tuesday. Oh no. It became a Testimony Tuesday, girl. Won't he do it? And he said your testimony is purpose. So let me tell you.
The alignment, how it all falls
together. It is so
together.
Amazing how God works.
It falls together.
So it is now time to turn your heartbeat into a soul beat in order to leave your soul print, because the fingerprint tells us what you got wrong in this world, but the soul print, it tells us what you got right, and what God got right is you. So don't forget to turn your pain into power by recognizing that it's a relay race and somebody is relying on you, not to compete. Oh, no, but to complete, because the most important part is the L, and L is for love, and love rules everything. That's the difference between those two words, just the L. And so remember, you can never turn on anybody else's light, but you can provide enough light for them to find their switch. So stay lit in this world so somebody can find their way out of the darkness. It is your responsibility. So get a zestful part of living so that you can become the bridge and you can let go of the pain of your childhood and gain the pride of being an adult, because you made it, baby. You got up, and now you get to be the evidence, because somebody is always watching you. So make God proud. Be a multi-level marketer for God before you're a multi-level marketer for anybody else, because that's how we get multiple streams of spirit. So get in alignment for your assignment, and we just want to thank you for tuning into Coffee and Conversations. And don't forget to wake up and make today count. We love you so much. Don't forget to hit our links if you're looking for anything.
Yes,
definitely.
And definitely get your book, because the book club is coming up this Saturday, the 23rd. The book club is coming up, so make sure y'all get y'all book so y'all can be a part of the conversation. Hit the link, grab your ebook, grab your black and white copy or the spectacular color copy, honey, because them pictures are lovely. And
one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to add the Registry Inc. link to my LinkedIn tree, so you can send over your proof of purchase or not a purchase, whatever. Well, actually, the link will be on there where you can register for the book club that starts on the 23rd. So we're about to start talking about the book, you guys. So this is going to be fun. I've been loving the messages I've been getting about people reading so far and how it is empowering them and setting them up on fire. And I'm just that's what I did it for. So what the F is your mustard seed is the name of the game. Is it faith or is it fear? Are you forgetting, escaping, and rising? Or are you having the freedom after insight to hire yourself? The old fear was what? False evidence appearing real. So I gave y'all a new way to fear. And so I want y'all to get in contact with your F so that your life can be the difference. Your F matters. Love you guys. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.